Hello everyone, welcome to SwitchUp as we once again have another review for you today, this time of Littlewood. This was written by our newest writer Rob, or Rob Nor as he is affectionately known, so thank you very much to you Rob. Littlewood is a chilled out, kick-started RPG from independent game developer Sean Young, who is the sole developer of Smash Games. It has garnered a lot of attention lately, with the title being likened to games such as Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley. Can Littlewood aim big and live up to the hype? Well, thank you to the publishing team for the review code, and now let's find out. Littlewood's story plays out after your character has already defeated and saved the world from the Dark Wizard. However, your character now has no recollection of the battle or his adventures beforehand. You are gently eased into the game by various townsfolk that you encounter on your journey, along with your former companions including Dalton and Willow. These two explain that now that you are the hero of Solemn, the game's world, and the battle has ended, it's time to rebuild your town of Littlewood, or whatever you choose to call it of course. I for one named my town Robnoville. The story is minimal and is mainly driven by your character's interactions with non-playable characters as you roam around Solemn. There is also no pressure to push the story forward, you can approach Littlewood at the pace you choose to. This is something I found quite refreshing. In terms of the gameplay then, well, there's so much to do in this game that I'm not quite sure where to start. Littlewood is one of those RPGs where absolutely everything can be leveled up. Practically everything has a level and you are always working to increase each category's stats. Well, I say working, but it isn't the usual laborious type of work, because you find yourself going about completing tasks naturally and those stats are slowly increasing the whole time. Normally I'd find the pursuit of levelling up to be a tedious grind, but the lack of an enemy replaced by the goal of rebuilding your town made it a pleasant experience instead of a long slog. Littlewood incorporates an interesting day and night mechanic that isn't based around the usual time cycle, but instead how much energy you expend in a single day. Completing activities like farming or crafting will use energy. Once you've filled your energy bar up most of the way, it will turn to night time and the music will turn silent, which is an indication that you need to return to your home to get some much needed rest, or you'll pass out from exhaustion. When you awaken, you will have an empty energy bar and can continue with your tasks. If you pass out though, part of that energy bar will be partially filled. The world of Solemn itself has a good few places for you to visit, such as the Endless Forest and the Grand Library. Travelling to these places is achieved using a hot air balloon that is purchased early in the game. Different locations in Solemn provide different resources and NPCs to interact with. These interesting and quirky characters also help to drive the game's narrative. Everybody has needs and requests that you can busy yourself with, along with your characters and town's own personal goals. Another interesting aspect of the game is getting your town appraised from within the town hall. This is essentially giving it a prettiness rating. Because of this, I found myself wanting to make the town look great, including planting trees, flowers and shrubs, picking weeds from grassy areas, and generally just taking care of the place. Not quite what you'd expect from somebody nicknamed Rob Nor the Viking, I grant you, but there you go. In terms of the controls, the left analog stick is used to navigate your character around Solemn, and you can sprint using the R button. However, due to the serene nature of the gameplay, I never really found myself in enough of a rush to actually use it. Again, to reiterate, time isn't ever really your enemy because the day only comes to a close once you have expended enough energy. Most of your interactions with objects in the environment, such as chopping wood, mining or fishing, are completed using the A button, with B being the cancel button. As I mentioned earlier, you speak to various NPCs who will have a list of demands. These can range from wanting their house next to a coffee shop or wanting you to paint one of their walls. You'll find the materials to complete the goal and then you can build it for them. The build ability is accessed by using the B button, which brings up the in-game menu. In the build menu you can choose to build from blueprints that you find, purchase or you are gifted on your travels. You can also use the editing tool to terraform the land, raising or lowering the terrain and placing roads. Farming is another part of the game and various crops again can be planted from that build menu. One small nitpick I did have with the menu system was the lack of a normal save button. The menu button only has a save and exit button, which I used adequately enough, but being able to just save mid-game would also have been handy. Gameplay is interesting, compulsive and incredibly addictive, with that town building loop supported well by that RPG element of levelling up particular skills. It's a game I found very difficult to put down, and gameplay scores 18 out of 20. Controls are simple and allow the game to flow very nicely, with just that odd omission of a proper save button bringing them down a tad, and they score 17 out of 20. In terms of the visuals, well, they are certainly vibrant and definitely have a charm of their own. It has that top-down 16-bit pixel art style with a simplified colour palette that reminds me very much of a polished Pokemon Gold. Smooth animations and a nice yet very simple user interface really help to maintain the game's chilled out and aesthetically appealing experience. During gameplay you will see different seasons as you slowly forward time on, and these all vary from each other, particularly in terms of the colour palette used, with switches from a vibrant green to a quite serene looking brown. What the graphics lack in high-end detail, they most certainly make up for in building a world that is homely and somewhere that you want to stay. I played this game in both handheld and docked, and as far as I could see there were no performance issues whatsoever. It's a game that I preferred to play in handheld mode. I just found the 16-bit pixel design suited the smaller Switch screen rather than being on a large high-resolution TV. Audio is casual and simple and does just enough to keep the game entertaining. It's basic but pleasant enough to keep within the deliberate peaceful design. Conversations are handled via text, and perhaps it would have been nice to have some voice acting in there just to push that narrative along a bit more, but perhaps that is just me being picky. I also appreciated the silent times that came once you had expended that daily energy. There was something about the act of the music fading that really did bring home it was time to go home and rest. I felt it worked very well. The visuals strike that perfect balance of taking a visual aesthetic choice but cramming it with enough detail to fully emphasise the charm, and they score 17 out of 20. Audio is pleasant enough, perhaps not quite as charming as the visuals, but nonetheless it scores 15 out of 20. Littlewood costs $14.99. It hasn't been released in some regions yet owing to a delay, but hopefully that release date will come soon. This is a price that I just can't complain about at all. There is no lack in content, and a lot of care and attention seems to have been applied in the development of the game. Provided its pricing is similar when it comes out in those other regions, then this is an absolute bargain. In fact, I'd go out on a bit of a limb and say I would have been prepared to pay a bit more for it. The gameplay loop is addictive, and as much as I did feel that I might find it tedious after a while, this just never happened. It's a game I'd see myself returning to for large play sessions or just drip feeding little and often over a good number of days. Value gets 19 out of 20. To conclude, Littlewood is definitely worthy of the murmurs of excitement that surrounded its release in North American regions a few weeks back. I'm going to be honest, I went into this game cautious because I have a habit of getting bored quite quickly with games of this nature. Whether that is a character flaw on my part or not is to be debated, but that's generally how things go. However, Littlewood really seems to have been designed with a great passion, and due to this it makes the title genuinely engaging to play and sink a huge amount of hours into. And trust me, I certainly did just that. I found myself looking forward to picking it up and playing time and again. Its slower pace and non-forced narrative firmly placed this title right up there among my list of relaxing games that I pick up after a long week or just to have an enjoyable experience. With so much content, it's honestly very hard to get bored of playing, and it has a unique charm about it that is very endearing. Now if you'll all excuse me, I need to get back to my shrubs. Littlewood gets a SwitchUp score of 86%. Thank you everybody for watching that review. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do remember to leave a like if you did. A huge thank you to Rob for writing this one for us. I'm sure you'll all agree he's done a great job. Please do leave him a positive comment in the comments section. That will be much appreciated. A quick thank you to our Patreons as always for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, stay safe of course, and until next time, happy gaming.
Yeah.